The greatest thing in life is to understand the law of creation. Just as we weave into our minds impressions and ideas from the objective world, likewise we can weave into our minds the attributes of the presence. The presence is that which is. It is not created by the human mind or any other mind. The presence is that which is, never had a beginning, therefore can never have an ending. This presence is your real self. What we create in our minds tends to outpicture in the objective world. This is the result of our thought action, but thought itself must have an originating source, otherwise it could not exist, and the originating source is the presence. Thus, when we realize and recognize this presence and dwell upon its attributes, we establish them within us. When you think back until you get a clear conception of what you are in reality, you will then understand the creative power of divine thought. We must think back until we reach the source of things, before we can develop the power within ourselves. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is that state of consciousness which has reached its own source. When this state is reached, creation is automatic. Just as electricity flows through the filament in the lamp and produces a light, so does the creative power flow into the ideas the consciousness holds. We know that electricity is a form of energy, but no one can tell what it is. Neither can we tell what the creative power is. But we know that it is, just as we know that electricity is. To clearly understand how the creative power works, we must understand our relationship to this creative power. Jesus compared himself as a son of the Father. As the Father has life in himself, so he grants the Son to have life in himself, showing that it was the same life in both, that this same life in the Father flowed through the Son as a means of creation. Whatever I see my Father do, I do also. Here is the answer. The mode of action must be the same, the Son being made in the image and likeness of the Father. Jesus brought it down so that the human mind could comprehend the meaning that there was no separation between the Father and the Son. All the struggle we see going on in our own lives and in the lives of others is caused by a sense of separation. Thus a continuous struggle is set up to bridge the gulf of separateness, but when truth is realized, the struggle ceases. In other words, take hold of the tree of life, and it shall become a spring of living water rising up to eternal life. But to do this, we must let go of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for we cannot hold on to both. We must cling to one and leave the other. This world is still struggling with good and evil, with the result that chaos reigns instead of peace. I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but he shall find for himself the light of life. This is the great search we have to find for ourselves, the light of life. Then we shall not walk in the dark, we shall not walk in ignorance. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. No existence came into being apart from him. This is a clear statement of fact that the manifested world is but an expression in the mind of God and not outside it. In the general way, we look upon matter as something solid, but this solid substance can be changed from solids to vapor and disappear. We have not destroyed this substance, we have only changed the vibration of the atoms that make up the substance. So we can definitely state that matter is mind materialized, and this manifestation of mind is the intelligence in action. Therefore, what we see before us is not merely a substance, but the intelligence expressing itself, and the same intelligence is in us all. The Master discovered this method by which he could use the creative power by understanding the law. 1. Limitation. Sickness. Failure and unhappiness in our daily lives are evidence of our ignorance of the law of life. Therefore, the greatest thing in our lives is to understand the law of creation. I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. This message is an extremely simple one, so simple that it is difficult to understand. When we realize that our minds are the reflection of infinite mind, then there can no longer be need for struggle. The only condition being a sustained acceptance of the presence. The secret of how the law operates is well expressed in these words. It is not I who doeth the work, but the Father who dwelleth in me. He does the work. We must take exactly the same position. There is not one law for the Master and another for us. He showed that all are capable of using the law. The only thing that prevents us from doing so is our sense of separation. When we comply with this law of the all-originating mind, we bring about results. We must see clearly that the life behind and within the form is formless, yet it is the creator of all form. The Father that dwelleth in me, he does the work. The intelligence is the predetermined knowing of the infinite, and whatever we ask with understanding, this universal intelligence will find ways and means to bring about any manifestation. James says, the double-minded creature need not think that he will get anything from the Lord. Let him ask in faith, not doubting, for he who doubts is like the waves of the sea driven with the winds and tossed. Thought is first invisible, then it becomes visible. If our thoughts are to become visible, we must know what we want. The invisible power of electricity is controlled and made visible by the use of the laws pertaining to it, and millions have benefited by it. Yet we can consciously or ignorantly violate the law and bring about disaster. The lack of understanding of the law governing the invisible world has the same result. The mind must be free from past or future, free from prejudices, fears, and envy or revenge. Do not condemn lest ye be condemned. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It is the state of mind that attracts the best in life. It completes the circle between God and man, and the law of harmony operates for our benefit. In other words, you are in tune with the infinite. To be in tune with the infinite, there is a constant flow of divine energy through you, and this flow never ceases for a moment. As you become more aware of this, so it will flow with greater power to renew the mind, body, and circumstances. If your thoughts are not in harmony with the infinite, there is a condition created known as disease and unhappiness. The physician may diagnose the case by giving it a name, thus increasing the trouble instead of eliminating it. If wisdom and love were substituted, it would strengthen and nourish the soul. Then the body would soon recover as the inflow of the divine energies is re-established. Jesus cured the sick, and if people understood him, they might do the same again today. What we need is the understanding of the Master, and not theories or names of diseases. The Master was the oracle. Christ, the Spirit of God, is the bread of life, and when eaten, the soul and body is renewed. When this truth is revealed to man, the scales fall from his eyes, and he sees how he has been deceived, generation after generation, by the beliefs and theories of others. Man, made in the image and likeness of God, lives in a material or visible world in which he has been given dominion over all things. A world so constituted that if he understands the law and uses it intelligently, he will be lifted up to spiritual heights yet unknown. He will expand his consciousness and practical knowledge of his oneness with the Creator of all things by the conscious use of the creative law within himself, and will represent to him a far greater power than the mere intrinsic value of material possessions, which are the expression and use of the law of creation. The material world to him will not be mere material, which is little known or understood, but will represent the intelligent use of the law of creation situated within himself. We will see that the invisible and the visible are one and the same thing. One is the cause and the other the effect, and cannot be separated. One is the expression of the other. God himself has made it plain forever since the world was created. His invisible nature, his everlasting power and divine being has been quite perceptible in what he has made. We must be one-pointed in regard to the presence. We will see that this is the only reality. All other things are relative, therefore have no power of their own, and are subject unto the will of God in man. Freedom comes when we discern the cause within ourselves, not merely by denying it. This ignorant denying has been the cause of many abandoning the very thing that would be of help to the individual sufferer. The only way is to discover the cause within ourselves and deal with it fearlessly and without struggle. Then there is a clearing of the way for the presence to operate in and through us. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever things the Son seeth the Father doing, the Son doeth also in like manner. We must become aware of the presence sufficiently so that every moment of our lives is an expression of it. This is wisdom, and wisdom is pure action going out. Never relying on external things, but knowing that all external things are but the effect of the cause within. The surest way and the simplest way is to love. To understand love, you must first experience it. To love intensely is to grow in love, and we must learn not to condition love, but to free it from all entanglements. In this way, the Father, whoever remains within us, performs his own deeds, for this is the law of creation. Benediction. O beloved presence, I hear thee calling to me to awake from my sleep of delusion and separateness. The sunlight blazes forth in me, yet I was blind to its spiritualizing power and beauty, while my soul was darkened with separateness and ignorance. Let the fragrance of thy presence pierce through my being to overflow with thy love for all thy creation. O beloved, I now drink of thy presence and love that spreads everywhere, revealing thy everlasting nature, embracing all within thyself, and have found myself at last in thee and thee in me.